Hello, everyone, and welcome to Office Hours, Tertulia's Friday author meetup. Just a reminder to everyone, all authors are welcome at Office Hours. So bring a friend, bring your writing. And today we have a fantastic panel of three authors who are actually using Tertulia. I think you're going to walk away with some practical ideas, whether that's using Tertulia or just generally promoting your book. Let me introduce we've got Greg Armstrong. Greg, do you prefer Greg or Gregory?
You can call me Greg.
Greg, okay. He is a Connecticut-raised writer whose passion for the craft took root at Norwich Free Academy, where he studied in a dedicated creative writing program with the acclaimed author Wally Lamb. You may recognize that name. We have EJ Kimbrough. EJ, am I pronouncing your name right?
You are, yes.
Excellent. She is a debut author writing emotionally driven fiction that spans contemporary romance and darker paranormal territory rooted in real relationships. She lives in Baton Rouge with her husband and kids and dogs. Do I have that right, EJ?
You do.
Excellent. Welcome. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And we have Megan Peterson, who is actually one of the youngest published authors ever at age 9. And returning to her writing roots 30 years later with a nonfiction debut called Beyond Our Wildest. And she has not yet opened pre-orders, but she runs a marketing company. So she has a lot of thoughts on how she is going to roll out this book. So we might do a before and after here with Megan to talk a little bit about her strategy and then see how this turns out over time in the coming months. Thank you, all three of you, for being here. Megan, let's start with you. Again, you were published as a kid. Can you tell us about that? You're coming back 30 years later. Tell us what your book was like that you came out with as a kid, what you're writing now, just in brief. Could you just give us a few thoughts about when your book is coming out and what your kind of big tentpole ideas are for marketing it?
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Linda and Tertulia, for having me. I'm a huge fan of your platform. And yeah, like Linda said, I'm Megan. I live in Minnesota, if you couldn't tell by my accent. And like Linda said, I grew up as a child author. So it sounds a little strange, but when I was 9 years old, I really wanted to publish a book. And somehow, some way, I ended up getting a traditional, legitimate book deal from a Minneapolis publisher. And so I had 2 children's books published about this creature I made up called the Burbles. And the Burbles books really shared life lessons about becoming your best self and being kind. And so each book had a specific life lesson. So my childhood consisted of book signings and TV interviews and speaking engagements at schools where I encouraged students to reach for the stars. So fast forward 30 years later, exactly. So ironically, this is the 30th anniversary year of the Burbles books. I am back with my first book since then, so I actually do have a copy of it. So the book is Beyond Our Wildest, and it is a journey of sobriety, faithful stewardship, and second chances for us and the world. And it's a little bit of a different topic than the Burbles books, but ironically, it has a few parallel themes of becoming your best self. And so it's been just a really interesting and exciting journey returning to my writing roots. The book is about when we can become our best selves. That's when we can bring our best to the world. And I believe that starts with really kind of tackling the vices, the many vices we have in our lives. And so for me, it was alcohol. I was really in the gray area, kind of drinking sphere. And so anyway, felt a nudge to write a book about it. So there are different nature themes woven in throughout the book. So it's also focused on building a better world and planet. So moving on to the mark.
What a unique book. I mean, second chances for ourselves and the planet. That in and of itself is, I just love that like tagline. That's really interesting. EJ, you write a totally different genre, romance, paranormal. Like, tell us a little bit about what you're working on. Interested, like, is there a cohort, like a community of like dark romance, paranormal, or is it kind of like a crossover between people that read different genres? Interested in that. Tell us.
Okay. So I've been writing since I was younger, but never published. So these are just all stories, except for the book that I have out right now, that just came from imagination of something that I wanted to, to read about. I love paranormal and I love romance. So being in Louisiana, we have run across paranormal activities, from histories and whatnot. I'm a history nut, so that also plays into a part because when I write, I like to dip into the history of how this became to be. So that is the basis of that. But this book that's come out Saturday, actually, Love After the Bruises Part One, the beginning, definitely not paranormal. It's more of a toxic relationship, romance, young love, trying to trying to figure out red flags before it gets too deep. A lot of young girls, especially in high school, they don't see them. And then they end up in these relationships that last for years and they lose themselves. That happened to me actually. So it's fiction and real life brought together. And it's a 3-part series. So that's what I'm working on currently right now.
I'm sorry, did you say it came out Saturday or is coming out
It's
Saturday?
coming out this Saturday.
Oh, EJ, that's awesome. Congrats. Okay. All right, Greg, just a quick lob it over to you. You had started studying creative writing as early as high school, right? And you mentioned working with Wally Lamb. So interesting. Were you writing throughout your life, or did you kind of come back to it later in life?
No, well, I guess you could say I kind of dabbled in writing as a child too, probably around 9 years old too. So we had I think it was grammar school. We had a project where all the kids were gonna write their own little books to like draw the pictures and everything. And I think that's probably where my interest started. I kind of remember what the story was about a little bit. I put all my friends in it. It was some kind of spooky Halloween whodunit kind of thing. And so once I got into high school. I don't really remember much from then, like how much writing was in my life, from there until high school. But once I got into high school, I think it was my junior year is probably when I met Wally Lamb. And then I had him, like I said, my whole senior year. I don't recall if he was my English teacher. He was the English teacher there, but he ran, like I said, what was called the Writing Center at Norwich Free Academy. And what would happen is there was a certain point of the day where everybody could go to the Writing Center. You could work on your own stuff and have free time to write whatever you're writing and work on your things. And then every class, he would gather everybody up in the middle, have everybody read some of their stuff if they wanted to, and then get feedback from everybody. He would offer feedback. And he was in the process of writing his first novel at the time. So I think that was probably an influence on me too, because here I am with this teacher who's teaching writing and stuff, and he's writing a book, and I think that probably influenced me, to say I could write a book. And my issues was because I'm legally blind. I just had I let a lot of issues that I had kind of hold me back. I was never much of a reader, not really at all. The only book I ever really read was Wally Lamb's first book, just because it was my teacher and he came out with a book, so I read it. But yeah, I was never really much of a reader because it's such a strain on my eyes. So I always had it in my head, like, well, because I've always been of the belief of whatever your career in, you probably, you either study it or you need to study it, to be good in it. And I was always thinking to myself, I'm not much of a reader. How do I know how to write? And I would put pressures on myself of, there's one thing I put in my bio of one of my favorite movies is Eddie and the Cruisers. And in that movie, if anybody's never seen it, it's the lead singer, Eddie Wilson, trying to put this band together. And he's got this idea that if we're going to be a band, we need to be great. We need to be the greatest. And for some reason, I always had that in my head, like there's all these great authors, the great American authors out there. And like, how am I going to compare to that? And I was always putting those pressures on myself with the added thing that, I don't really know how to write because I don't read. So there was a lot of stuff going on, and with all the social issues I had and stuff because I was legally blind, I let it put a lot on myself, like I said, and I let it hold me back. And for years, I would start a book, I would have an idea, and the first novel, my debut novel, actually is kind of morphed from that original idea I had in high school. and it just kind of changed over the years because I would start something, I would get frustrated with the quality of it, and I would put it away for years, and then I would come back to it. I would just find it one day, and I would say, "Hey, let me start it again." So it was always in my mind. It was always in because I always had active imagination. So there was always stories in my head. There was always thoughts in my head of a story I could do. So it never left me over the years. It just took me 30 years to get there by the time I did it. And I just had to finally, there was one point one day after I, got married, had kids and everything, and they'd grown up. And there was one day I just sat down and I said, look, I just need to get past this. I need to put all that stuff behind me that I was letting get in my way, and I just need to figure out my own writing style. And, back when I was in high school, there was rules to writing. You have to write a draft. You have to write you have to do this and you do this. And I was never much into rules and all that. Like, I'm not going to sit down and write it all out and plot it all out. That's not the kind of writer I am. So, I just finally said I had to do it. So I just started writing. And, there's a saying, I forget who told me, it's a famous saying about writing drunk and editing sober. So that's the kind of how I did it. I just started writing whatever was there, and I came back to it, cleaned it up, and just kept going. And I just had to get into it that way. So, yeah, it took me.
This is an
It was a 30-year
amazing.
journey, but I got there.
Oh my God, what an amazing example you are. You're actually making me feel bad about all the like lost books in my past. No, that's an incredible congratulations for going through with it. I mean, there's like so many life lessons in that. I mean, where to begin?
Yeah.
Let's keep going with you, Greg. So in addition to getting this book out after all these years, despite various life challenges, including the fact that you didn't want to sort of play by some sort of academic rules around writing, you just had to get your story out.
Right.
You seem to be, to me, to be a big proponent or like poster child for the wide publishing strategy to the group, the wide publishing strategy being book available in as many channels as possible and formats as possible. Do I have that right, Greg? And what's your thought about how you go about the platforms that your book is available on?
Well, the thing is, I didn't really know how to do it at first. So, 'cause like I said, if I would have done this back when I was in high school in 1991, the whole publishing landscape was so different back then. Obviously, I would have sent my manuscript to a to somebody to to have it look at and to see if I can get it to a publisher and all that process, which really doesn't exist much anymore. And so when I finally did this publishing, we were already into the world of self-publishing and independent publishing and all that. And I said to myself at that point, I said, so I've waited 30 years to do this. Do I really want to risk waiting another 20 years by sending this out to an agent, seeing if anybody's interested in it? So I said, the people that really matter to me, because from what I've heard, there's a good history of publishers kind of missing on some of the biggest authors that were out there. So I said, I'm going to get this into the readers' hands, the people that really matter, and self-publish and go that route. And in doing that, I published through Amazon first, so I was exclusive with Amazon. That eventually frustrated me because I'm saying, I'm calling these independent bookstores. I'm trying these different things, and everybody's telling me, "Are you with Ingram Spark? If you're not with Ingram Spark, we can't put you in," and all this stuff. So I said, "All right, I'm gonna get off Amazon. Amazon. I'm gonna go with Ingram Spark. That way I can, be in Barnes and Noble and all that." Ended up coming back to Amazon so I could do the ebook. So I'm now with Amazon and Ingram Spark. So I kind of learned it as I went. And then I started getting into, and I think it comes from just me on this 30-year journey of doing it. And once I finally did it, like I have this mindset that I'm not going to let anything, set me back anymore. I'm not going to let anything else hold me back from getting where I want to be. So I'm going to find any way I can, if I can be published through here and here and here all at the same time, I'll do it, and whatever I have to do on social media or this to get my book places and to get people to see it, so I'm always looking for different avenues and different ways of doing it, to get it out there. So.
Yeah, the experimentation is key. So you mentioned ebook, you also have audiobook, correct?
Yep.
Okay, and how did you produce your audiobook?
That was with a woman who was just starting out doing audiobooks herself. from another local author in Connecticut. I knew she had done her book, and I had contacted her a while back. And I was just I was putting it off because I was working on other things and trying to get promotion going for the regular book. And then I finally had to say, because I wanted to get it out in all formats because of me being legally blind. I
Yes.
know the value of somebody listening to a book and having it in all formats. So I got a hold of her and I said, let's finally do this. And it worked out good because, like I said, she was just getting into doing audiobooks, so she was learning too. So we kind of taught each other some things along the way of doing that. She was having fun trying to do the different voices of the characters, and then she was having issues with how should I read this part, and how should I do that part. And I finally told her, I said, look, this is kind of your project too, your thing. So in a way, kind of make it your own too. Like do your own inflections. If this part of the book, however I wrote it, if it doesn't sound natural, make it sound natural.
Yeah.
Not necessarily change the script or change what's written there, but say it in a way where it sounds natural and sounds comfortable to you. So that was a fun experience doing that with her, with somebody who was just starting out also, because we were able to kind of
That's,
bounce things off
yeah.
each other and teach each other things.
I
So
was just going to use the word fun. It sounds a lot more fun than sending it to the AI to read.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I'd say, just reflecting Greg's experience, if you're going to go paperback in any distribution in retail, looking for, paperback quality or hardcover quality, you're going to kind of probably want to do hybrid Ingram Spark and Amazon if those are your two platforms. People said, what's better for ebook? There's a lot of places to make an ebook. You make an ebook yourself, you format it
Mhm.
yourself. If you want Kindle distribution, of course, you're going to go through Amazon. You just have to be mindful about any exclusivity arranged for yourself. So as you develop your audience and you're on Tertulia and you want to sell your book directly, you don't want to have that exclusivity arrangement. And recommend, as always, that you guys join the Facebook community group for Tertulia because lots of micro conversations about this stuff are helpful to authors looking for the right vendors and the right platforms to expand their audience. Thank you, Greg. Let's talk a little bit about like marketing efforts and where your bullet points. What are like the two or three things that you're doing between now and when your book comes out at launch day in terms of promotion?
Sure. By the way, this is such a fascinating conversation, and I'm just loving how everyone's approached the publishing process and the comments, and Greg, your story. So thank you for sharing. So yes, with the marketing bullet points. So there's an organization called Sober Sis, and it's an online sober-minded sisterhood. And the founder of that organization has written my foreword. So we are actually hosting a launch party. This is the first real push for the marketing. We're doing a launch party in September. And so right now, people who are coming to this launch party can buy the book on Tertulia. So I'm selling the book direct right now on my website. I'm having books shipped there to this retreat and then passing them out at the launch party to the people who have pre-ordered them. I'll also bring the card reader to sell them on site for anyone who has not pre-ordered it. And my book is nonfiction. Gemma, great question. It's actually Christian nonfiction, and it's a memoir and self-help both. So book launch party, also news media. So I plan to pitch to the media, and I'll just be sending out my own press release, and so that will be a big part of it. And then on the paid side, I plan to run some Facebook and Instagram ads. So right now, that's really the main aspect of marketing that I'll pay for. It's just the Facebook, Instagram ads. I did go hybrid with my book. Redemption Press, they're a wonderful, legitimate hybrid publisher. Redemption Press, they also offer marketing services. So I partnered with them on a few things, but the couple of points I just mentioned is what I'll be doing.
Good plan. Having that link into a community of readers just as your base with Sober Sis sounds amazing. What a wonderful strategy. So I look forward to hearing how that pans out and turns out for you. Super, super interesting, Megan. Thank you. And listen to how she's hacking her pre-order/event strategy using her site. That sounds awesome. So really glad to hear that's working for you.
Yeah, thank you. And one quick thing too, I think this is important. When I pass out those books at the retreat. I am including a card that invites them to go to Amazon and download a 99-cent ebook. So I'm running a special launch week for 99 cents. That way, if they're willing to do that, and if they write a review, their review will show up as a verified review because I'll have that verified purchase through them then. So that's how I'm kind of pairing selling books in person with how to get Amazon reviews. So everyone will get a little card with their book.
Very, very good. That's really smart. You've got a talk about going wide. That sounds like an awesome strategy. And, while you're kind of killing two birds with one stone between sales and generating reviews. So I like that. We've got to definitely convert that into a great case study as well. Thank you, Megan. Let's take it back to you, EJ. You've got how have you found reader books?
So this is the book here. Right here. This is the hardcover version.
Cover.
Thank you. When I tell y'all it was research, that is the best thing because this is my first book ever published. I've written a lot, never published.
Right.
So the first thing I did was research. And when I tell you, I was like, I need to find the best and most cost effective to get this book out because it's a series. The first thing I said was I wanted an author website, not a real website. And there is a difference between the two. Okay. And then I found y'all. So, and when I did my research, it was like, this is the one that you want to go through. And it was also presented to me through Ingram Spark, which I used. Ingram versus Amazon, the quality is different. I do want to point that out. The quality in their books is different. This book here is from Ingram. It's very soft. The pages are it's worth it. And then you get to get out there with everybody, the Barnes and Noble and all that good stuff. I then learned if I wanted to get my books in certain bookstores, you needed a sell sheet. So I looked that up. A lot of people don't know about the sell sheet when you want to go into certain bookstores. Not major ones necessarily, but if you're looking for a mom and pop one or one that's smaller, a sell sheet is definitely something you want to have. My marketing is not paid. I use TikTok. That is my go-to. I use TikTok. I have, I think, about 10,000 followers since I started this. I did ARC readers. I did beta readers. I did alpha readers. These are people that will do it for free, will give you information and feedback before you start your process of selling. Those are so important to have. The alpha readers, beta readers, and ARC readers. ARC readers will read for you once everything is edited and you've got everything done, and they'll review. I've got 19 reviews so far on Goodreads, and the book is not out yet. That was important to me. I do have launch party coming up tomorrow on TikTok, on Facebook, and on Instagram. Going live was important to engage with the readers, giveaways for certain things. I'm doing book boxes. It's more of an experience I wanted to have for my readers versus just reading a book. I do signed copies on my live, so there's a difference. So when you're up in front of people, it helps, even if it's just for 30 minutes a day. TikTok is a BookTok. So there's BookTok on TikTok, Bookstagram on Instagram, and then the author threads on Threads. It's a huge community of book people. And then you have your Kindle people on Facebook. So it's very important to hook into the readers on the book clubs. And that's how I got my book out. I ordered from Ingram Spark 150 copies last week. I am sold out. I have to order more because I don't have any more as of right now. So research is key. If I can't tell y'all anything else, it's researching. I did my own formatting through Atticus. It's a one-time paid subscription. I'm getting the POS system that you all are offering. I'm getting that as well for my book signing I have on Barnes and Noble. It's just researching. It's finding a good street team because you'll need it, because you'll need people to go help you push your book out. Those are the people, those influencers, those ones on BookTok. Those are the ones. I'm my publisher. I bought my ISBNs. That was another thing I did. When I did my research, I figured, why go through a publisher when I can just buy the ISBNs? I bought, I believe, 100 for $575, and I use my own. So that's what I did, because I feel like I'm going to write some. My daughter's a writer. She wants to write some. So we're just going to keep it in the family here. I went ahead and pre-ordered everything from Ingram. I did not do the Kindle Unlimited because during my research, I found if I stuck with Ingram, putting it out there on ebook, it goes to Kobo, it goes to Kindle, it goes to Nook, it goes to Apple Books. So there is so much more opportunity than Kindle Unlimited. But I did put the price at $2.99 for someone who is on Kindle on Amazon to be able to purchase the book. And so that was my thing. Research. If I can't stress anymore, it's do your research.
Okay, I don't know about you guys, but I would like to have EJ on my team. This story, can you talk about building your street team, like what that process was like, including any mistakes you made or lessons learned?
Yes. So I actually have a link tree. And that was the first thing my brother told me to do. Don't just give people all of these websites, get your link tree. A link tree is a place where all of your websites are together. Not only can you do that, but you can put forms out. So I created my link tree and I created a Google form for an application for people on BookTok, Bookstagram who would be interested in being on my street team. I gave them the process. I gave them what's expected. I let them know it's not a paid opportunity. It's so important to let people know that because there are people that say, oh, I'll ARC read for a fee or I'll ARC read for this. You never should pay for that. That's just number one. You shouldn't have to pay for that unless you generally just want to do that. So I went through applications of that going through TikTok. TikTok was my main place because BookTok is got at least 23 million book readers on there alone. So if you go on BookTok and you just post and you start posting, and you start going live and you hashtag BookTok, you hashtag, you know, anything, Instagram, whatever it is, they're going to start seeing it. The algorithm will start to see it, and you won't need to pay for ads because the algorithm will pick up. Also, if you go on Instagram or BookTok, the best time to post or go live is between 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern. I learned that because that's when the algorithm really starts to kick in. So again, it's really about doing your research. When's the best time to post? When's the best time to do that? And when I did my, I guess my weed outs for my street team, it was their answers. Why do you want to be on my street team? What do you know about my book coming out? Because I wanted you to see, did you go on my page? Did you look? Did you see what it is? You know, I wanted, did you go on my website? And so it was their answers. It wasn't just, I just like to read. It was, I want to make sure that you're being promoted in the best way possible. Like these were the answers I was getting. So you want to try to find genuine people who really want to be in that book talk community and really want to help those indie authors get out there. And they are there. They are there. You just have to look. And I have a good street team of about 15 people that really pushed my book for me. Really pushed my book.
What a fantastic story. I love this. I still have so many more questions for you. That's really, really powerful. That's really
Thank
cool. And I
you.
mean, the thing I'm hearing too is like, yes, there's millions of people on Book Talk, but it's finding the relationships that matter. Like the idea that
Exactly.
somebody's filling out a form for an ARC and they say, no, I really want to help you get this book out. It's not like Stuff My Kindle event number,
No, no.
999 for me. So
Mm-mm.
I think that's really interesting. Also, I had an idea when you were talking about buying the ISBNs. It's like a gym
That's
membership.
how you find your phone.
It's
Uh-oh.
like buying a gym membership. If you buy the ISBNs, then you actually have to write the books. You have to go to the gym if you buy
See,
that.
you were in my mind when I brought that. Exactly. Exactly. Because Amazon, it's great. Ingram will give you a free one. Amazon will give you a free one. They will, but you're limited at that point. And you can't be everywhere, right? It's not just about Kindle Unlimited or Amazon, which is big, but there's so many other. There's Books a Million, there's Barnes and Noble, there's Walmart, there's Target, there's all these places. And I wanted to make sure I reached more people versus just a lot of people on one platform. And the only way to do that was to buy my ISBNs.
Excellent. Okay, listen, we have lots and lots of questions. We've got hands raised. I'm going to ask one last question and then I'm going to start taking people off mute to ask questions to you guys directly. Um, Selfishly, I want to hear about Tertulia in your writing
Mhm.
life? Okay, so like what is the one or the two things? This is for Greg and Megan and EJ. What has Tertulia enabled for you? Or if you were talking to a writer friend, what would you say in that process you just each described that Tertulia did for you to enable getting your book out and growing your author?
Sure. First of all, it was very easy to put together. I am not a website person by far, by any means, but the directions were very easy. The videos helped a lot. Um, the website is user friendly. From the people that I've heard go to the website, which is on my link tree, beautiful, easy to navigate. It's not a bunch of hoopla. It's here, 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 here. This is what it is. So it's very user friendly for the person visiting. And I haven't really tried as far as advertising on it, but I've sent my link out on my link tree. I've sent my link out on other places. And from what I heard, based on other websites like GoDaddy and things like that, it's just so it's not in your face. It's very just it's subtle, it's beautiful, and it's easy to navigate. I'm able to sell my book boxes on there, my books on there, get my events on there, do custom pages. Y'all did a good job. I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, EJ, for the commercial. I appreciate that's more than you can imagine. All right, we'll get back to that, the selling books. I'm sure there's questions about book boxes. If we have time, I want to hear about that. Y'all can check out EJ's site too. Greg, how about you? What would you say is like the one or two things that Tertulia enabled you that made a big difference in you getting your book out in the world?
It was totally the ability to sell books through the website. I had the site for a while before you guys came out with that. And I was doing different things with it. I was advertising that the site was out there when I was doing my stuff, mostly on Facebook and places. But it wasn't until and for me, it's because of being legally blind and not being too mobile as far as getting out and being able to do live events and stuff. I do that um, because I'm also with a large new nonprofit organization in Connecticut called the Connecticut Book Festivals, and they put on a lot of events around the state, both large and small. So I'm able to get out and do those and get rides and stuff. But for me to do things alone, it's hard to get out there. So I depend on doing a lot of things from home and online. So once I was able to sell books from the site, that was where really things kicked in because when you're in a position like I am, it's I wasn't seeing sales because I was trying all these things and I had my hand in a lot of different areas trying to get sales and trying to figure out how best to do this. And I'm checking and I got zero sales here on KDP and over here and I'm still trying to figure it out. And the difference is about I think it's been about a week and a half since I really found a good post on Facebook that is working and people are responding to. And now I'm putting multiple books in envelopes in the mail every day from people ordering off my website. So I've sold in the past week, I've sold 18 books, usually one or two a day. And that's totally because of you guys. And I just love it. And I love the aspect of being able to, um, in groups on Facebook and things where I'm advertising it and connecting with people and talking to people. I love talking to people and just, not just so much, it's not for me, it's not about selling the book and here I sold another book to this person. I like to see their name. I like to be able to connect to them and talk to them and whatever conversations we get into, whether it's about my book or not. And so, yeah, the selling books through the site has really, really kind of launched things for me. So,
That is awesome. There's so much love happening with the congratulations in the chat. That's really great, Greg. Thank you for sharing that. I'm glad I asked. Selling direct, people asked, how can you do it? It is so easy. You do need to upgrade to Pro to get the e-commerce functionality. You connect a bank through accounts. So you really just put in your bank information. It takes usually less than 10 minutes, usually a few minutes. And then you upload the files that you want to sell. We have a range of files available, EPUB, PDF, whatever you want to you sell any file that you want. And you can set the price. You keep all of the earnings less the credit card fee. And then for print, we have a very elegant solution where we're tracking both inventory and order management. So as Greg says, if he gets an order, he says, oh, maybe he sets a goal for himself. All books need to go out within 3 days of order or 2 days or whatever it is that his goal is. And he sends out those copies, author fulfilled copies, and then he clicks off that the order has been fulfilled in his site. So it couldn't be easier. Megan, tell us one thing about Tertulia or two things, just what comes to mind that was a game changer for you with the site for your book promotion.
Sure. So with my book, I am going to have 2 editions that come out. So I'm going to have a paperback, which is this one. And then I will have a hardcover special edition that will have print Northern Lights printed edges. I don't know if you've seen I'm sure you all have the books with the printed edges, and then vegetable-based ink and recycled paper. So the special edition is sustainably produced. I love that Tertulia has the option where I can list both the paperback and the special edition. And so people can select from the 2 of which one they want to buy direct. So that's been a really helpful feature. I also love how easy it is to add a promo video. So I created a little video, and all you have to do is add the YouTube link and the video generates beautifully. So I've actually never worked in a website where it is that easy, where you just have to add the website link and the video appears. So those are 2 features that I love among
artifacts. And I think that's important what Megan says, because a lot of people are like, I can't send out books in the mail. Like, no, but they'll do it for a special edition. And so it's like they can have their paperback go through Share and Sell at Ingram Spark, or maybe through your hybrid publisher has a fulfillment operation, whatever it is. But they'll do a short run of special editions, either for an event or something else. So that is exactly what we had in mind with author fulfilled copies. A lot of questions in the chat around how can I sell direct? Well, we can get into this, but you can reach out anytime at authors@tertulia.com. We can answer your questions, tell you the difference between pro and basic, share kind of what the different features are there. Karen has had her hand up for a while. Karen, could you unmute yourself and ask your question?
Yeah, I like all this information. Do we have like a page where we can chat together where I can refer back to that, or like I know this is recorded, right? So I could watch it again.
Yeah, Karen, that's a great question, because this session in particular has been very filled with specific advice. I mean, often Friday office hours are, but I would say there's been a lot of specific advice. We do post the videos of each office hours on our YouTube channel, so subscribe there. We send out the link to the video on our Sunday newsletter. And we occasionally share different highlights in YouTube as well. And then finally, we have a Facebook community group. I recognize not everybody is on Facebook, but if you are on Facebook, you should join the Tertulia for Authors community group. And there's lots of great discussion in there, community building, people sharing notes, promoting each other's books, finding ways to do cross promotions if they're of like-minded books and genres. And then finally, there are some people that have stood up. If you go into the Facebook community group or continue to join us on Fridays, there's people who've started Discord groups and are connecting in threads and in other places, just organically. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, a little bit. So like I like what EJ Kimbrough was doing, and because I'm a new author, I wrote my memoir, and I did my own artwork, and so it's kind of like featured. Each chapter has the visual for it, for that chapter. And so it's going to be a little pricier because I'm a fine artist, but I'm looking forward to it. And it's more like trauma and religion. So such a time as this with all the my personal opinion, mega occultist stuff, that I think a lot of people will resonate with that religious abuse. So, and then Megan's book appealed to me because I'm a mental health clinician. And I think a lot of the clinicians would love to have something like that, because there is a psychologist who's written a lot about finding your best self. It's a more of a strength-based approach for recovery than I have a disease. So anyway, I just applaud you for doing that. That's awesome. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that, Karen. And I'm glad is this your first time here at Office Hours?
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Welcome. Great to hear from you. Yeah, definitely check out the YouTube and the Facebook group. We had a question in the chat I want to go back to. Gemma asked, and feel free to go off mute if you'd like, but she wanted to hear from you, EJ, about the sell sheet. How did you make it? Why did you make it? What does it do for you?
Okay, good question. So I already knew that if you have Ingram Spark or if you go through Ingram Spark, you can get into the big box stores. But there are a lot of locals in Baton Rouge that do require, you can't just be like, hey, can you sell my book in your bookstore? They want a sell sheet. And a sell sheet is a one-page professional flyer that introduces you to them. So you're going to have things like your cover, a one short, powerful brief description, not the one that we put on like a big one, just one something to let them know, hey, this is what the book's about. Your name, the title, just other specific things. And we can, if you want to chat later, we can go into it in detail. It's giving them the opportunity to see what you can offer to their bookstore. It's pretty much saying this is what I'd like to have. So that's pretty much what a sell sheet is. A lot of bookstores require that.
That's very helpful. In the chat, Jillian is saying that Canva has great templates for author sell sheets. Yeah, you can do
Yeah.
this in
Yeah.
minutes. I mean,
Yep.
it's not, you're so used to talking about your book and packaging it. And of
Right.
course, it's great to get feedback and develop it over time, but you can make those pretty easily in
You
Canva.
could.
And I love that idea too of just making it relevant to the local bookstore. It's like,
Yes.
I know you're going to sell these copies and I'm doing this event at this time and really just making it personal.
Right.
That sounds great. Thank you for sharing that.
Mhm.
Meghana, would you like to ask your question? You can unmute.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much. I wanted to ask EJ, how many weeks or months before you launched your book did you start the pre-launch activities? And could you talk about your ARC readers? How did you find them? Did you have to pay anything?
Okay. Yeah, good question. So I started really hunkering down writing my book February. I started my TikTok page in that time period. I had maybe about 2,000 followers beforehand. And I just started to go into BookTok events. So if you go into TikTok and you kind of search BookTok, you can kind of see influencers because they have those. They have people that's called spotlighters who spotlight indie authors. Those are people you want to definitely get to know because they will get your book out and they can also ARC read for you. You can also hashtag ARC read or ARC, and you can find those individuals who have that specific title in their profile that says ARC reader or alpha reader or beta reader. You can find those people if you search that. So that's the first thing I did was search for those people, added those people. I started then just going as I was writing, just preparing them. This is what I'm doing. This is the book I'm going to do. I wrote out my book first. I then hired someone to do my book cover for me. I then did a book cover release party. I didn't do a book cover like a book release. It was just for the cover because I never showed my cover. And so I did that and I did a live version on that. This was a live TikTok. We had maybe about 500 people in that room. I did let them know that this is the time to go on my link tree and sign up for ARC reads because I was doing ARC reads. After that, I did a pre-order release party, which was June 22nd. That's when the book was ready for pre-order on all channels. We ended up selling out, I believe, on that night. I think it was like 110 copies on that. But that did giveaways. So I did ebook giveaways through BookFunnel. BookFunnel is an also good resource to have. If you want to give away a book, if you do ARC reads, you never want to give them a PDF or you never want to give them the full version because you don't want them to alter it in any way or give it to someone else. So I go through BookFunnel and it gives them that chance to read the book for a limited time, or if you give it to them for free, they can have it, but it's just for them. They can't share it. It's an invisible watermark that they put on so it can't be shared, it can't be altered. It's $20 a month, the one that I pay for. There's also other tiers. So BookFunnel is another thing that y'all should definitely get. After we did the pre-order release party, I scheduled a launch party, which is happening this Saturday at 7 p.m. Central Time. We do giveaways, we do readings because I am getting the audiobook in place. That is another good place that you can find your narrators on TikTok. There are so many narrators that are willing just to do your book for free because they need the experience. So you can always have that. Put that form in your link tree that you're doing a narrator audition. Put on there that you're looking for beta readers. Put on there that you're looking for ARC readers. The only thing I can tell you is don't pay for any of them unless it's a narrator, because of course they definitely deserve that. But for someone that's an ARC reader, you shouldn't have to pay for it when there's so many people willing to read it just to get that experience. And all you're asking in return is an honest review on Goodreads, Amazon, Barnes and Noble. And then in return, what I did just for my ARC readers, didn't have to, I gave them an e-copy of the book. Because once the ARC was done, that link was no longer available for them. But I ended up getting a lot of my ARC readers to buy multiple books for their friends and do giveaways on their platforms on TikTok. So it worked out really well. So it's just really finding out who is going to be in your best interest for you, not just trying to get something free. And you'll be able to tell that with their answers when when they fill out your form.
What a wealth of information. I will say that we are looking to integrate more of these tools into Tertulia as well. Yeah. So, if you'd like to have a little focus group with me and I look at Angie, say the word. Some of the things we've actually built out already, cross promotions, author swaps, that kind of thing, because we know that the grassroots nature, and especially on BookTok, is powerful and awesome, but it's
Yes,
a lot of work.
it
And so
is.
we want to systematize that more. So yeah, spread the word that people should get on Tertulia and sign up for the pro
Yes,
before we roll those out.
yes, yes.
Yeah, and then ARC reading too. I think there's like a lot of great tools out there already, so we don't want to reinvent the wheel, but we
Right.
do have an ethos that you should have everything in one tool because it's very annoying and expensive to have all these different
Yes.
subscriptions. How do you
Oh,
manage that, EJ?
100%.
Like, how do you decide what to pay for and not to pay for?
When I tell you, when I looked at everything I was paying for, when I looked at BookFunnel, when I looked at Microsoft Word, when I looked at Grammarly, when I looked at all the things I'm paying for, it's a lot. When I looked at things I'm paying for on TikTok just to kind of make sure everything is kosher, it's a lot. So if you were to have that on the website and I just pay a little extra for that, I'm for that because it's in one place. That's why I got Linktree, because it's in one place. I don't like having to click, 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 click. If someone can just go to my website and just do this, that'll be great. That'll be amazing.
Greg or Megan, do either of you have a comment on like what tools you think are worth investing or lessons learned about things that weren't worth investing? Any thoughts on that?
Um, yeah, no, I'm kind of the same with as far as like looking at all the stuff that, I was investing money on, and being careful what I'm investing money on. And eh, like EJ said, if everything's in one spot on Tertulia, that's what I'm good with. Having all those tools there, because I just trying to invest money into all these different places, it was getting overwhelming for me. So I just kind of stopped, and I was trying to focus on the marketing and the promotion through social media and all that. So I've just been overwhelmingly happy with what's going on with Tertulia and having everything all there in one place, in that central spot for doing all that stuff. So.
That's great to hear. How about you, Megan? You got the last word on how you're thinking about what tools you invest in, and even, Mark, you are a marketing professional by nature, so I'm sure there's a lot of muscle you put into things yourself, but even that's very time consuming and expensive. Any thoughts?
Sure. It's funny. Linda and I were talking before the call, and I said, okay, so writing the book was like running a marathon. And then all of a sudden, you have to run another marathon to market the book. I'm sure many of you are kind of feeling that pain. as well. But I'm also just trying to have fun with it and not do everything and just take it one step at a time and also just do it your way. I mean, whatever feels good to you. I feel like we have to get out of our comfort zone a little bit, but also you can do it your way. And that's what I'm trying to do. As far as where I've spent money and felt good about it, I really have felt great about my hybrid publisher. And I know there are always mixed feelings about hybrid publishers, but for me, they did the editing. They're doing all the distribution for me. They are helping with the marketing. It made sense for me. I chose not to self-publish just because I did not want to kind of piecemeal and kind of find all the different partners. It was Redemption Press was a one-stop shop and it has been very slick. So then I'm able to invest my energy in the places that make the most sense. And then they're doing the rest. The other thing is just buying items for book signing. So the tablecloth and the bookmarks and pens and just different things that has been worth the investment as well. So those are really the two things I've spent money on is the hybrid publisher as well as the book signing materials and kind of the swag. So, and it's been worth the investment so far.
Anyway, we are at the top of our hour. There are still questions coming in the chat. So I suggest that you all connect, come here next Friday. You can find many of the same people show up, but we also have new faces every time. And of course, not every topic interests everybody, but we've got some like super, I think, really cool people coming in this fall to join us as guest speakers, and of course, more author panels, which are very, very practical, pragmatic, and powerful. I've learned a lot today. So thank you for your time, EJ, Greg, Megan. Best of luck with your book launches. We're definitely going to boomerang this back and have the results after the book releases, at least for the two of you guys with your books. So thanks again.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. Y'all have a great weekend as well.
Thank you. Have a nice
You
weekend.
too. Yeah, you
Thank you,
too. Best of
everyone.
luck with your launches. We're in touch, and everybody have a great weekend. Thanks again for joining.